This is a clip from Basketball at the Bar Live. This will be an interesting one. The Oklahoma City Thunder were the second worst team in the Western Conference last season. 24 wins, 58 losses. But they've been trading for draft picks. They have a ton of them. According to ESPN, the starting lineup or the depth chart currently is SGA as the starting point guard, Josh Giddey as shooting guard, Lou Dort at the small forward, Darius Bazley at the power forward, and Isaiah Roby at the center. Looking here at their salary cap, Derek Favors was just able to opt in on the $10 million contract for next season. SGA starts his max contract next season, first year at $29 million. And then you have literally a ton of guys here on rookie contracts. Josh Giddey, I'm going to butcher this name, so I'm going to skip it. The 20-year-old Alex, I don't know. Trey Mann.
Pukashevsky, I think.
Darius Bazley, Ty Jerome, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Theo Maledon, Lou Dort, Isaiah Roby, a ton of guys here. Aaron Wiggins. And then you have a couple older guys like Mike Muscala. There's a team option for $3.5 million for next season. I think the team will probably pass on that. And then Kenrick Williams, partially guaranteed $2 million for next season. Calvin, if you're the GM of the Oklahoma City Thunder, biggest needs this offseason. Also, I forgot to mention they have the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft.
They do have the number 2 pick, just like all their 500 million other draft picks, first-round picks over the next few years. This team, well, in terms of what they need pretty much everything except for whatever position Gilgeous-Alexander is going to play. They are definitely another team that needs front court help big time. But the problem with trying to predict what OKC is going to do is guessing what they're going to do with all the draft picks. I mean, the most common thought right now, or common sense thought, is you're stacking all those draft picks to make a huge move, whether it's trade up into the draft and get 2 or 3 top or lottery picks, something like that, or use all those picks to get a premier player in the league right now. The other part of that question is, when do you make that move? This draft, they already have the number 2 pick, and it's a top heavy draft. There isn't, predicted to be a ton of value, in the mid to late first round picks. So there's a rumor out there, we're skipping ahead here a little bit to the Kings, but there's a rumor out there that the Kings have already made a deal to move into the number 2 pick. If I was Oklahoma City, I would not move back to 4, and here's why. They have the opportunity. It seems to be becoming more and more apparent that Jabari Smith is the likely number 1 pick. That means Chet Holmgren is going to fall to you at 2. This is a guy that many people think will be the best player in this draft, and he helps them with a lot of areas of need. They're shores up their front court, great rim protector, a guy that they can use in space. I think he would play really well with Gilgeous-Alexander because his skill set is unlike any other 7-footer in this draft. Mm-hmm. So I would use that pick on him. I wouldn't be trading back to 4. If I did trade back, I'd be looking to go get a big-name player, somebody like perhaps Donovan Mitchell or Damian Lillard even. I don't think Damian Lillard is going to be available, but if I'm Oklahoma City, I'm at least calling them and saying, again, with Gilgeous-Alexander, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because Gilgeous-Alexander, I think, can play both on ball and off ball. So I would be – there aren't that many of those types of players that are rumored to be available anyway. So that would be my first thought here is, how can I use this number 2 pick to my best advantage? And for me, moving down to 4 is not one of those things. I would much rather go out and try to get, because if you're looking at who the Kings are going to give up for that number 2 pick, it's probably people like Rashawn Holmes and Harrison Barnes first and foremost.
Or a future pick.
Or a future pick. But again, Oklahoma City's already got a ton of future picks. So why does the Kings' future pick this year make that much of a difference for them? In my opinion, it doesn't. I would much rather secure the potentially the best player in this draft, or use that pick to get somebody that's going to be, in my opinion, someone who's going to help move the progress of this franchise along faster than a Harrison Barnes or a Rashawn Holmes or someone of that caliber.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I'm definitely keeping the number 2 pick if I'm Oklahoma City, and I'm taking Chet Holmgren. I don't care what anybody offers me. I'm taking him, and I'm building around him and SGA. I do like some of the other young guys, Josh Giddey. I really love Lou Dort and what they bring to this squad. But this, to me, is the ultimate NBA 2K rebuild, right? Like, you trade Paul George for a million draft picks. You basically cut all your salary, and you have all rookies on this team. You're set to lose, so you get more high draft picks. And I'm just being patient, and I'm sticking with the plan if I'm this team.
What is the plan, though?
I mean, SGA is only 23 years old.
Yeah.
Yes, he's just going into the first year of a max deal, but he's played extremely well. I'm just going to continue to bring young players to this squad, see which ones stand out, and build around them. After the draft's over, and I take Chet Holmgren, if he falls to 2, I'm calling the Wizards. I'm asking about Bradley Beal. I'm mixed on bringing Damian Lillard to this squad, but I figure I might as well call Portland and ask them. I'm going to call Utah, and I'm going to ask about Donovan Mitchell. And I'm not willing to give up SGA or my number 2 pick for any of those guys. I have all these future picks. I have a ton of young players. I have cap flexibility and space. If you want to get rid of your superstar, send them to me. I'll take extra salary if I need to. But I'm building that way. And if everybody says no, that's fine. I'm sticking with the plan here. I'm building around SGA, Chet Holmgren. I have a ton more draft picks. More superstars will become available next season at the trade deadline, whatever. But if I miss out on one of those guys this offseason, I'm calling Houston, and I'm asking about John Wall. I'm calling Utah, and I'm asking about Rudy Gobert. And any of these other teams, I'm calling the Lakers, and I'm saying, you guys need help getting rid of a bad contract? I'm your guy. Send me a first-round pick or 2.
So you agree with Progressive G here, bring Westbrook back?
I mean, I'm willing to. But Key Kings has a good point. You know, at some point you have to cash in his picks. And I agree with that. But you don't want to rush into anything. You want people to come to you and be like, I like what you got. We're trying to get rid of this guy because he's not happy or doesn't want to be here. You want to have the leverage. And I think Oklahoma City has done a great job putting themselves in this position. I think they have a patient fan base. And I really think that they have a second chance at building something that they effed up with KD, Westbrook, Harden, and Ibaka.
Yeah. And I would say DeAndre Ayton is definitely, in the cards here for me as well. Again, I need front court players. You talked about guys that are unhappy in their current situations. Oklahoma City can afford to pay DeAndre Ayton.
Yep.
It seems like a good match, him and SGA. So I would definitely be interested on or all in on him as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. This team has so many possibilities, but it's just funny. I keep saying it, but I look at this roster and I just think NBA 2K all over again.
Oh, yeah,
because
totally.
This is what we've done. Continuously.
Sam Presti is playing 2K right now.
And they have a lot of young players. Like, it's crazy looking at this roster. If they move on from Derek Favors, if they move on from Mike Muscala and Kenrick Williams, who's partially guaranteed, then that means the oldest player under contract next season is 24 years old, and that's Ty Jerome. And he's the only 24-year-old. Oh, other than Isaiah Roby. There's only two 24-year-olds on this team. Then you have 23-year-olds, 21, 20, 19-year-olds. The sky's the limit for this team. Everyone just needs to be patient, and it's going to take time. This is what Philadelphia wanted to do, in my opinion, but failed. Any last comments here on the Oklahoma City Thunder before we move on?
Just a hard team to go about what it is you do first here, because there's, like you said, there's so many different things they can do. There's so many different things that they need. And they're in a very interesting spot with not only having all the draft picks they have, but having as high as the number 2 pick in this year's draft, it really is. There's one of a million ways that they could go about it.
And I think they'd be absolutely crazy to move down in this year's draft. Like, why?
I don't understand it. It depends for me. Like, if you are able to get Damian Lillard and move from 2 to 7, that's something that I would be willing to do, because then at 7 you can still end up possibly with a guy like Shaedon Sharpe, who would be, I think, another good addition to this team, and a young option, or a Keegan Murray, maybe even if he falls all the way down there. And you're still getting back Damian Lillard in return.
Is Portland
as opposed
really
to
do
moving down to 4? No, I agree. Like, I don't think that that's a likely deal, but
yeah.
I'm just talking in, generalities here. If I did move down, I think there's still places that would make sense for them. But 4 to the Kings from Oklahoma City's standpoint doesn't make as much sense to me.
Yeah, and for me, like I said, I'm keeping the number 2 pick. I don't care what people want. If I have so many draft picks, if I'm Oklahoma City, if I'm on the phone with Washington and they're like, we want to trade Bradley Beal to you, we want the number 2 overall pick, I'm just going to say, no, sorry, number 2 is not on the board, but I can give you 3 future first-round picks. I think that outweighs it. And, yeah, there comes a point where you have to cash in some of those picks.
Yeah.
A number 2 overall pick in like 3 weeks from now or 2 weeks from now is much more valuable to this team than getting more future picks.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. If you are an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, please hit that like button down below. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Calvin and I will be discussing the Oklahoma City Thunder and many other teams this offseason here on Basketball at the Bar, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or any ideas or what you think the Thunder should be doing this offseason, let us know down below in the comments. We greatly appreciate it. So much for watching. As always, please don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. You can join us live every single weekday, Monday through Friday.